Hey guys, it's Trent here with Sonically Speaking. Today we're going to review Shinedown's newest album, Threat to Survival. Here we go.
Shaken.
Alright guys, so before we actually get to the review of the album, let's talk numbers for a minute, because Shinedown is one of those very successful bands who all of their previous records, just in case you didn't know, have either hit gold or platinum records. So just in case, for those of you who don't know what that means, gold means you have to have sold over 500,000 copies of a specific record, and platinum means you have to have sold over 1 million copies of a specific record. And Shinedown has done that with every single record. Threat hasn't received a album certification yet. It's not gotten up there in numbers quite yet, but it will. It'll eventually get there. I know it will. This is Shinedown. All they do is produce amazing music, and it's always chart toppers. So one of the cool stats about this album is it's actually already reached number 6 on the top Billboard 200 in the United States, it's pretty cool if you think about it. No, the top Billboard 200, I'm not talking about rock music, I'm talking about all music. So we're actually comparing Shinedown to people like Adele and people like Avenged Sevenfold, people like Stone Sour, whoever it could be. It could be Lady Gaga and Nicki Minaj. They're compared all in the top 200 of the Billboard, and Shinedown is number 6 right now with Threat to Survival in the album. So I think that's fantastic, seeing as people like myself who just love rock music and they're not too into modern pop. It's cool to see one of our bands, one of our favorites, get put on the top list, because that actually adds exposure for the band. So currently, Threat to Survival has reached number 1 on the US hard rock charts for albums. Now, you can call it as you may, hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. They actually reached that. So they're number 1 right now with Threat to Survival. So again, like I said earlier, Shinedown is always so successful with their music. It's so awesome to see them, because when you look at the history of the band and how they've transformed and how they've added new members like Zach and Eric, it's cool to see how they've continued to succeed through all that. So the track on the album that has reached number 1 in the rock singles right now, you can guess it, it's Cut the Cord. Such a fantastic song. Again, I'll talk about it a little bit later in the review, but man, I love that song. Little do most people know, there's actually some hidden bonus tracks on the Japanese version of Threat to Survival, which I guess we're never supposed to know about them, because Shinedown doesn't A, talk about them, they don't B, publish them on iTunes. I don't think they're on iTunes. I haven't looked, but I feel like I've looked for this kind of stuff before, and I don't believe it'll be on there. So the songs are called Never Gonna Let Go, and the other one is Reject. Now, I listened to them, and they weren't too impressive, but again, they weren't bad. They could have almost put them on the US version as filler songs if they wanted to have maybe, however many, if they wanted to have a couple more tracks on their album just to kind of fill up some space. But Shinedown's not a band that does that. They don't like to fill space. Alright guys, so here it is. It's time for the actual review of the album that most of you have been waiting for. Now, when it comes to Threat to Survival, you have to look at it in several different ways. You look at it in the fact of this is Shinedown. Shinedown's a heavy rock band. They've had rock singles that have hit number 1 on the chart all the time. It's just, you think of them as a big rockin' group, songs like Her Name is Alice, songs like Burning Bright, songs like 45, just these big power rock songs. And then you look at this album, and a lot of people think, oh, well, this isn't the old Shinedown, blah, blah, this is, they're trying to be poppy. But then you look at Amaryllis. A lot of people forget about Amaryllis. It was so successful, but they forget that some of those songs on there were not Shinedown, so to speak, such as Follow You Down. Like, yeah, it's got a big ballady chorus, but again, that's kind of a relaxed song. And then you look at Amaryllis, the title track. The little guitar part in there, that's not very common for Shinedown. But a lot of people actually look at this new album and see, ooh, it's different. I don't like that. Kind of like whenever Metallica back in the day, whenever they released Load and Reload, songs like Mama Said, nobody even listens to those, but that's actually one of my favorite songs by Metallica, because it shows you a different realm of the bands. Instead of just the same cracking tunes all the time, like if you're a Bullet for My Valentine fan, you must love just heavy-hitting hard rock songs, heavy metal songs, because every single record, even the new one, I like it, but every single record is just the same, just thrashing your brains out, like headbanging music, just tearing it up. Like, it's good stuff, but it never really changes, except for songs on like Say Goodnight. But With Threat to Survival, there was so many different ways that they went about combining pop music and rock music, such as, you look at State of My Head, it's got a real driving chorus, but I don't even think you can even hear a guitar in that song, which, Zach, I feel kind of bad for you that, you didn't really get to express yourself that much in terms of guitar. There wasn't even like a legitimate solo. There might have been like was that a solo? But I didn't hear one, so it was almost like listening to Metallica's Saint Anger, which, a lot of people got mad about that one. But let's just forget about the guitars for a minute. State of My Head, it's a driving song, and it's got a lot of poppy parts to it, so it can almost be like a Maroon 5 type feel to it. You look at some of the words, like flag is shattered and my bones are tattered. That's classic Shinedown right there. Their lyrics are always so descriptive and very visual, so you can even visualize that. Concrete thick skin, that's just it's great. It's got a good electronic feel to it. There's an awesome bass drop in that song if you didn't hear it, because that's very popular nowadays. So that's them entering the new realm of let's try something new, and I give them credits for it because they did a great job. At first with this album, I wasn't too impressed just because it was new, and I was on the bandwagon of, oh, Shinedown, don't try nothing new because you're just so good, which is true. But why not enter into a new realm? Sort of like whenever Avenged Sevenfold started doing stuff like, you look at the song Shepherd of Fire. They never did anything like that before. That's just like power metal. And a lot of metalheads who just love thrash didn't want that, but Avenged Sevenfold went ahead and did it, and now everybody just loves that song and Hail to the King, blah, blah. And the cool thing about Shinedown's new album, though, is when they take those ventures, such as, you look at the song Black Cadillac, it combines pop and rock so well to create just such a good atmosphere for, oh, let's see where they're going next, or, wow, this is refreshing. So, instead of throwing in your old Shinedown records and listening to them in the CD player, if anybody even listens to CDs anymore, I know that my car actually only uses CDs, so I'm stuck with using CDs. Maybe I'm a little bit old and outdated, but instead of throwing in those old CDs and listening to the same sound over and over again, you can throw in Threat to Survival or play it on your iTunes or listen to it on the radio, and it's refreshing. It's good, not because it's new, but because it's a different sound, and it's very refreshing to hear. One of the things I mentioned is some of the lyrics with Shinedown. They're so strong because they always try to connect. Brent always connects with his fans, with the listeners, with the audience so well. Like if you listen to the lyrics, like I said earlier, flag is tattered and my bones are shattered. Listen to the song Cut the Cord. Don't be a casualty, cut the cord. Like those are just strong. When you go back and look at some of the lyrics, it's almost like reading poems. Of course, we know that that's what rock songs, pop songs, we know that that's what music is it's poems put to music. But really, it's like award-winning poems if you go read what Brent talks about. The song 45, if you ever heard the story behind that on the Somewhere in the Atmosphere, the live disc, you ought to go watch that. Like, that's amazing to hear how he connects with the audience through storytelling, with or without music behind it. So that's one of the cool things about this album is it just continues to keep driving with the lyrics. So one of the things about this album, though, that did bother me with the lyrics is they're almost too defensive. Like, it seems like Brent is just on the defense all the time. Like, people are trying to get at him. And maybe that's true, which, if it is, man, write about it. Write about it because that's your fuel that's going to light the fire. So it just kind of gets to me, though. When you listen to songs like Cut the Cord, it's kind of positive, but it's more negative. Like, bad things are happening. And then you look at State of My Head. He talks about how the state of his being is just broken. Flag is tattered, bones are shattered again. Outcast, talking about being surviving past all the rest of the Outcasts, which that's a positive one. But you think like cracking dynamite, like that's really positive. It's a great conversation back and forth between the instrumentations, but with the lyrics, they just always feel so defensive. And then of course Black Cadillac, what a morbid song! Like awesome song, great, but it's just very cynical. Talks about death. I'm personally not a big fan of listening to songs about death, especially after listening to Nightmare from Avenged Sevenfold. Great album, but the lyrics just haunt me. it's sad to hear lyrics like that. But that's how I feel about the lyrics on this album. They're almost too aggressively defensive, like someone's trying to get at you. So it's almost hard to enjoy this without being angry after listening to it. So the actual order of the songs was great on this album. Asking For It was a perfect way to start off the album because it just starts driving right away. It's just the quick guitar part and the quick drum intro, and then it's just the, asking for it. It's great. It's old Shinedown. That's what everybody wanted. And then it's a great transition into Cut the Cord. Forgot the name of the song. It's just a great transition to that because it gets you prepared. You only get like a couple seconds of a break whenever the kids are singing that creepy part at the beginning of Cut the Cord. And then you just get choked again right there with Cut the Cord. Awesome. I love when albums do that to you. They just get you right away. And you don't even get to relax until State of My Head, which is, that's a cool song. It's new. So some people, I don't know if they can really relax there because they're kind of like, I don't like this song. Most people hit skip, but that was actually one of their most successful singles they've put out so far from the new album. Then you go into Outcast. That's just a driving song. Just blisters you again with just heavy rock chords, and you just keep on going through the track list, and the track listing was so well thought out. The only problem I had with it was the very last song, Misfits. I didn't care for the song at all. It didn't go anywhere. It started slow. It started real down, and it just never built up anywhere. Maybe it sounded like it built up, but it didn't feel like it. I felt like the song just was stagnant, very stale. It was almost like the only filler song on the album, and they put it at the very end because, by then everybody's tired, everybody's heard all the new stuff. Maybe whenever they listen to that, it'll make them relax a little bit. But I just thought maybe they could have ended it with Black Cadillac or something, or, just something else. Maybe State of My Head could have ended the album. Something better than Misfits. Maybe even have left Misfits off and put on one of the alternate tracks. Alright guys, so Threat to Survival, overall thoughts, I thought it was a fantastic album. It was great. Of course, Shinedown, obviously, one of my favorite bands out there. They continuously put out records and songs that are just chart toppers. I love them for that. They have great songs that connect to many audiences, especially with this new album. So, like I said, overall, a great album. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check it out. I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10 because it wasn't perfect, but it was really, really good. And if you've not heard them live, I guarantee this album will blow your socks off. So what did you think of the album? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you have some favorite songs or some least favorite songs? Maybe you're going to throw your disc in the garbage, or maybe you're going to, gold plate it and stick it on your wall and have it signed. Who knows? Leave it down in the comment section below, guys, and as always, put some suggestions down there for any albums that have recently come out that you'd like for me to review, or anything that's coming out in the future that we can look at together. As always, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Trent with Sonically Speaking.
Shaken.